Okay, Jose.
Thank you for your time, first of all. I'm really excited. I'm slightly nervous, but I'm sure I'm going to be okay. I wanted to ask you something that I heard. I heard that after Florence Foster Jenkins became like really famous, she started this fad where people would purposely record bad music and people would just buy it like crazy. Is that something that you've heard of?
You know, it's actually, I've heard a glimmer of it, but not really. But um, how long did that last?
I think for like a whole decade or something. But what I'm really curious about this is specifically one of like my mottos, and people are like, "You're insane." Is like taste is taste. Some of us like like we all like what we like, right? So, how do you come as a vocal coach? Would you ever tell like one of your students like, yeah, maybe we don't want to be singing that kind of music. Let's sing something like classier or something smarter.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that everyone's got a specialty um, on in two respects. There's certain music that brings out the best in people, and certain music that people want to sing, but it's not their specialty, which is actually a journey unto itself. But I think these days there are a lot of people who, so long as one doesn't dilute one style of singing for the other, there are a lot of people who are comfortable training operatically and singing opera and art song and American popular song that demands range and stuff. But they also want to do things that, I don't like to use the word belt, but that are just a little more pop-ish or what they call crossover. And there's much, much less of a stigma these days. But I found that all the students that I've worked with who have maybe focused on musical theater, whether it be Marin or Audra or people like that, they've all been steeped in a classical vocalizing tradition. So you always know the entire range of your voice. So if you vocalize the entire range sensibly, you can then sing a very chesty song. I remember a number of years ago, Audra did a concert at the Rose Center. It was on TV, I think, and she had Patti LuPone come on and sing with her, or other people. Anyway, she sang one or two Laura Nyro songs, which are quite chesty and quite on the other end of the spectrum. And somebody said, oh, well, if she sings too much of that stuff, she's going to lose her top. And I just giggled. I thought, if you use any part of your voice healthfully and you vocalize the whole range, it takes a lot to lose your voice.
And for instance, in Meryl's case, she's such a great singer. So when you were teaching her how to sing, incorrectly, so to speak, is there any sort of, like muscle memory? Was she afraid that she wouldn't be able to go back to singing beautifully when she turned to Florence?
No, I don't think so. I think that her commitment, 150% commitment to the character, not only informed her commitment to her body and her voice, which even if you don't sing totally correctly, if the body is underneath you and you're not either squeezing your throat or blowing a lot of sound out and blowing air through your cords and abrading them, you can actually, and you know what your set point is. So that's why the first weeks and months that we worked, we just did vocalizing, classical, regular, healthy vocalizing. And in her case, because we had to see what was going on at high, in the high soprano range, we just, week by week, lesson by lesson, inched up, up to C and C sharp and D and E flat and E. Now, even though a lot of the things that Florence sang went to E, she never made them. She never made those high E's. But she kind of maybe thought she did in her head, or she did the best she could, but she never seemed to sing apologetically. So I don't think that she was singing apologetically. But when Meryl was able to crank out a high E above high C, which is high even for a coloratura, it maybe wasn't Joan Sutherland Met debut or Beverly Sells in her prime or something like that, but it was still coming from a healthy place of vocalizing with the whole instrument. So when, she would, instead of, we would sing, as I said to someone earlier, the Adele, my dear Marquis, ba da 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 da, she wouldn't start out with, my noble sir, which would have sort of confused the throat. More than her, would have just confused the throat. So she sang it straight out and even sang the high D's full out, and the coloratura the florid notes that come down after that were accurate. So therefore, when she went into Florence's Carnegie laughing song, the healthy voice and the healthy intake of breath were like you would call it a shock absorber. So I think that's what saved her.